Hi, how you doing? One thing that's always fascinated me is that each of the planets have been named after one of the gods in the Roman Pantheon, and what they deal with astrologically just so happens to line up with the sphere of influence that god had in Roman mythology. And I can already hear some people thinking, well, obviously, no duh. That's because they could see the planets with the naked eye and they worshipped them as the gods. So, of course, it would line up. But that doesn't change the fact that some of these planets were discovered long after the fall of Roman civilization, even less than 100 years ago in the case of one of them. And these more recently discovered planets just so happen to be named after the relevant god that would apply to their astrological domain by men of science that would likely dismiss astrology before any such observations about what they would do astrologically could have been made. So let's go through them. We'll go through the planets that have been known even before Roman civilization first. We have Mercury. This planet deals with how we think and how we communicate, and it was named after the Roman god of commerce and messages. We have Venus, which is the planet that deals with relationships and values and possessions and how we express love, and that one was named after the Roman goddess of love, beauty, prosperity, and desire. And we have Mars, which represents what drives us to act and how we express our aggression, and is very aptly named after the Roman god of war. And then we have Jupiter, which represents our innate talents and what brings us joy and blessings. And it also brings bounty and excess to everything it touches. And Jupiter was the king of the gods. And everyone knows that if one word described him, it was excess. And a little fun fact, if you don't know, Jupiter has like almost 100 moons. And each one of them is named after one of Jupiter's ex-lovers. And so it was kind of like a funny little pun that NASA did when they sent the Juno satellite to Jupiter a couple of years ago, because, Juno's Jupiter's wife. And so, the wife was going to check on Jupiter while he was hanging out with all of his mistresses. But anyways, I digress. And then we have Saturn, which deals with time and long-term struggles that force us to grow through effort. And Saturn was named for the god of time, the father of Jupiter. And Jupiter overthrew his father and exiled him. And it is believed these two planets interacted gravitationally in the early life of our solar system, which influenced their orbits and potentially helped shape the other planets. And the last few planets is why I wanted to make this video, because this is where it gets weird. First, we have Uranus, which was discovered in 1781. Uranus deals with sudden change, rebellion, and innovation. And Uranus is the god of the sky and the heavens, which is appropriate for the ruler of the air sign Aquarius, and he was associated with the creation of the world. Then we have Neptune, which was discovered in 1846, and Neptune deals with the unseen, spirituality, intuition, and dreams, and he was named for the god of the sea, the depths of which were the most unknown thing to people back then, but also still remain largely unexplored to this day. And then we have Pluto, which was discovered in 1930. That is not even 100 years ago. That is 95 years ago as of the recording of this video. And Pluto deals with secrets, power, deep-seated change, death, and rebirth. And he's named for the god of the underworld and death. And Pluto is also associated with the hidden riches and resources beneath the earth, the underworld. And it just infinitely intrigues me how this pantheon of a civilization told stories that are reflected directly in astrology without ever knowing of the outer three planets existing. And it isn't just planets either. There's even some asteroids like Chiron, which have an astrological influence that line up with their mythological namesake. It is almost as if these names and knowledge associated with them always existed in the collective consciousness of the universe, and they were just waiting for someone to find them. And yeah, that stuff just blows my mind. It's just things like this is what proves to me that everything is connected. Everything is a part of one consciousness. And coincidences maybe aren't as coincidental as they seem. Knowledge is just out there in the world, waiting to be received. And, this might seem like kind of a weird tangent, but I'm not the only person that thinks this. If you know the comedian Mitch Hedberg, he was a brilliant comedian. If you've never heard of him, look him up. His jokes were just so unique, and really only he could make them funny. It was just something in the way he told them. But before he died, somebody had asked him once how he came up with his jokes, and he said that he didn't have a process. He just sat in a room quietly and just waited, and the jokes would just come to him. And he felt like they weren't even his jokes. He just felt like he received them. And I don't know if he knew what he was talking about, but it sounds a lot to me like he was meditating. And as he was meditating, his consciousness was opened up into the world, and he received the humor that he then sought to give out to people. Maybe I'll do a chart for Mitch one day. I sure would enjoy seeing what his Mercury is. I don't know anything about his astrological placement, so what's that sound like to you guys? You want me to do a chart on Mitch Hedberg? Anyways, thanks for joining me on this rabbit hole. Stuff like this is why I love astrology. And I love talking about this stuff. I don't think that many astrologers, at least not that I have seen personally, I don't think that there's a lot of people that think about stuff like this, but there is fascinating qualities about astrology everywhere. And it's fun to explore it. But I hope you all have a great day. And let me know what topics you'd like for me to bring up in the future. Coming up soon will be my video about Venus and the signs and houses associated with it. And yeah, look forward to that. Look forward to the full moon video. It's coming up soon because it's only a week away. So I'm going to get started on researching that one pretty soon. But I guess that's all for now. If you want a chart reading from me, you can always book one at www.dhastrology.com. Have a great day.